What's up? Welcome back to my channel, to all of my returning subscribers. But if this is your first time joining me on today, here we use information from celestial bodies to help us gain a better understanding of our favorite celebrities, world events, most importantly, our damn selves. So if you like what you see, tap in with me one time. Hit that subscribe button to become a part of the Astro family. And yeah, come on in and sit your ass down. So, without further ado, today we're going to be talking about plane crashes in astrology. And the inspiration behind today's topic came to me as I was reflecting on Pluto in Aquarius. So transiting Pluto entered Aquarius rather recently. And with it also being Aquarius season, in terms of transiting Sun, I've just been reflecting on different ways this energy could play out. And so one of the major manifestations that I covered in my Pluto in Aquarius live stream, in terms of what this transit would bring about anyway, would be an increase in aviation disasters or even plane crashes. So I wanted to take a look at how this could play out on an individual level, because I do have a couple of natal charts of celebrities who have perished in plane accidents. And one thing that they all have in common, say it with me now, Uranus, yeah, Aquarius, yeah. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look into that, shall we? So first thing to understand before we look at these charts is that Aquarius naturally rules the 11th house. Planetary wise, it's co-ruled by both Saturn and Uranus. And a lot of astrologers would even refer to Aquarius as being the higher octave of Gemini. Now, Gemini naturally rules the 3rd house, which also deals with transportation, but more so from a motor vehicle standpoint. So your bikes, your cars, your train transits, buses, things that can get you to and fro within your immediate surroundings, right? Your hood, a hood near you, baby. That's very much Gemini. Now, the 9th house, which is ruled by Sagittarius and planetary wise governed by Jupiter, deals with travel as well. And I actually see a lot of astrologers, most astrologers I've seen have attributed even issues with planes to the 9th house. But the 9th house deals with long distance travel, international travel. And I get it. Like in most of those situations, a person probably would be on a plane, but like the plane itself, you know, the concept of air travel is all encompassed in the 11th house. So not to be confused. Okay. Not to be confused. The 11th house also deals with accidents as well. Once again, with it being the higher octave of that Gemini energy. So, I mean, you know, there you go. Just putting that out there. Now, first up, an artist who I feel like based on my viewership, most of us know. I've done readings on her in the past, and this would be none other than the late Miss Aaliyah. Okay, Miss Aaliyah Harton. And Aaliyah unfortunately perished back in 2000, I believe in one, due to a plane crash. You know, it's a big popular piece of pop culture at this point. You know, I think I was like in the 3rd grade when she passed. But you know, growing up, seeing visuals of the crash site, and it just really, really, really freaked me out. It just freaked me out. But when it comes to Aaliyah's natal chart, Aaliyah has her ascendant at the 22nd degree of Aquarius. Now, the number 22 does carry a lot of Aquarian energy with it, because technically it can be reduced to the number 4. The number 4 is ruled by Uranus according to Chaldean numerology. Okay. So right away, we kind of got a double dose of that Aquarian energy. The ascendant deals with the physical body. It's important to understand that Aaliyah's ascendant is also forming a square to her Uranus. Yeah, chart ruler. So that means this is a very important planet. And a lot of the situations and things that can be manifested in a person's life are going to be very faded, especially in the sign of Scorpio, and can even induce death. Moreover, this is directly, or the aspect I would say is directly responsible for her plane crash. This is quite literally a plane crash that happened while she was traveling internationally. She was in the Bahamas, I think. Hence why that Uranus is in the 9th house. So an accident that could really separate her from her physical body where she transitioned. Next up, we have Kobe Bryant. So Kobe Bryant, of course, as most of you may know, was a world-renowned, very well-decorated NBA player. Unfortunately, he passed away back in, I think it was 2020, y'all. I think January of 2020, technically during Aquarius season, okay? When his helicopter that he was riding in alongside his daughter's teammates, because she was a basketball player, and apparently they were going to some game or related event, and come to find out, the pilot was not cleared to fly during the set of weather conditions that were present during that day. However, he knew that basically Kobe Bryant was going to pay him more money, right? He still decided to take on Kobe Bryant and fly him anyway due to how he would be financially compensated. And I thought this was particularly interesting because Kobe Bryant has his moon in Chiron in Taurus, forming an opposition to his Uranus in Scorpio. Okay, so he was also a part of that Uranus Scorpio generation alongside Aaliyah. And this opposition could deal with the crash itself, right? The fatality of the airplane crash. But moreover, it supports the theory that he paid off the pilot, basically, where he could have been dealing with a pilot who was corrupt when it came to like financial compensation. That's very moon conjoined to Chiron and Taurus in opposition to Uranus and Scorpio, where this it really manifested a situation that was out of his control, inevitably. And I hate situations like that, because these type of situations are so easily avoidable. But just because the pilot had to be greedy, money hungry, okay, he was willing to bend some of the rules. Hence that moon in Taurus, Chiron in Taurus in opposition to Uranus. And this aspect could also point to where maybe Kobe Bryant operated on that level in other areas of his life, where due to his money, gifts, things like that, he felt entitled to a certain level of energy, or he felt entitled to certain benefits, paying his way out of situations, even as it pertains to his wife. I mean, because the moon can deal with your wife, where money and financial compensation could have been things that kept her around, even despite him doing the things that he did, which, I mean, different video for a different day, different video, different day. But you get the connection, right? We're making the correlation here. Next up, we have Robert Kennedy Jr. Now, unless you've been hiding under a rock, Robert Kennedy Jr. was the son, and if I'm not mistaken, the only living heir from his late father, who was our sitting president, JFK, right? But the senior. And he served as president back in the 1960s. He was one of the more recent cases of where the U.S. had a sitting president assassinated, rather. And it was a whole big deal, y'all. It was a whole big situation. 9 times out of 10, if you're watching this, your parents, maybe your grandparents, were around during this time and can give you a lot of information on it. But it was a big situation. However, he grew up as America's sweetheart, like America's prince, rather. And so into the 90s, JFK Jr., grew up to be a socialite. And he also flew planes, and also a very attractive, very fine man, might I add. That was good looking man. Okay. And one day he decided to fly one of his private planes alongside his fiance, and I think her sister. They were supposed to meet his in-laws, and I believe it was Martha's Vineyard. Feel free to go look it up yourself. But the moral of the story is they took off, and nobody ever heard from them again. Okay, and so the Coast Guard and all of these people, were sent out so that they could search for the plane. And I'm not really sure how long it took. I do remember being a kid, like watching this. It was plastered on every media station. And eventually pieces of the wreckage and pieces of a plane were found in some large body of water. And I believe the human remains. Don't quote me on that. And yeah, unfortunately what happened was due to, I think it was human error. He wasn't as experienced, to be flying that plane the way he did, especially over a route that he was not super familiar with. And I think he ended up catching vertigo or something like that. And whatever, plane crashed, obliterated, sad story. And it was so sad because he was literally the last of the, or John F. Kennedy's only namesake, in terms of his legacy and children and all of that. So it was just really, really sad. And he hadn't had kids himself. So everybody was mourning, and he was fine. And y'all know, whenever a fine man dies, I don't wish death on nobody, but whenever a fine man dies, it does something to women, I think women collectively, we die a little bit on the inside ourselves. But anywho, when it comes to his natal chart, John Kennedy has his moon in Aquarius forming a conjunction to Chiron. Once again, we're seeing this pattern with Aquarius. Now, mind you, the moon can also symbolize the end of life or circumstances tied to end of life. And I meant to mention that when pointing out Kobe Bryant's adverse moon aspects also. But in this case, John Kennedy has his, once again, moon conjoined to Chiron, and both are forming in opposition to his Uranus at the 25th degree of Leo. So the moon Chiron conjunction in Aquarius alone could actually point to being involved in an airplane crash of sorts. And then this is only going to be deepened with the moon in opposition to Uranus in Leo. You could even look at that where he was like overqualified, or not overqualified, but he felt overly confident about his plane flying abilities, where there could have been technical error as it pertains to the engine. Maybe that was a part of it as well. And then with him being a Pisces South Node, no tea, no shade, a lot of Pisces South Nodes can go missing. The Pisces also rules the ocean. So you can look at this as like him being lost at sea or lost over the ocean. Obviously, I'm not saying if you're somebody with Pisces on the South Node or your South Node in the 12th house, you're going to go missing, you're going to get kidnapped, you're going to suffer the same fate. Of course not. But just in terms of an accident like this, having Pisces on the South Node definitely played out via the search and just all of the mystery, right? Even to this day, there's just so many things we don't know about what happened on that day. And then when you take in tandem his other more life-threatening aspects like Sun square Pluto, now this could deal with his father passing too, but once again, that could be an aspect that costed him his life as well. Sun square Moon, Sun square Chiron, in Aquarius at that specifically. So those would pretty much be the smoking guns. And then finally on to our last example, which would be Christian Oliver. Okay, he's an actor. I believe he's from Germany. I don't think he was as big in America, but I don't really mind a whole bunch of white people business like that. So y'all let me know if I missed something in the comment section. However, earlier this year, he passed away in a plane crash alongside his two daughters. It was a really tragic situation. So according to the New York Times, it says Christian Oliver, speed racer, actor, dies in a plane crash. Mr. Oliver's two young daughters and a pilot were also killed in the crash. The police in the Caribbean nation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines said on Thursday. So that's where the accident took place. Okay. Mr. Oliver, 51, who appeared in The Good German, Speed Racer, and the TV series Saved by the Bell. His daughters were the only passengers in the single-engine plane traveling from Bequia, an island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, when it crashed into the sea at midday. The Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines police force said in a statement on Thursday. The aircraft experienced technical or difficulties, I should say, and plummeted into the ocean shortly after taking off from JF Mitchell Airport. And there's no further information about the cause of the crash. I'm assuming because it's an ongoing investigation. Now, when it comes to Mr. Oliver, he has another pattern that we've been seeing thus far, which is prominent Aquarian placements in critical or harshly aspected Uranus contact. So he has his North Node at the 3rd degree of Aquarius, which can bring about sudden, fated accidents, tragic accidents, plane accidents. Then on top of that, his moon is conjoined to Uranus in Libra. And he also has that opposition, that Uranus opposition between Uranus at the 17th degree of Libra and his Chiron at the 11th degree of Aries. Also, and that's worth mentioning because those are aspects that could actually also produce something like a violent crash. And I wouldn't be surprised if like the plane caught fire with the incorporation of Chiron and Aries opposing this Uranus at some point. There could have been issues with the regulation codes. If we're talking about, Uranus and Libra, and with that conjunction between Uranus and the moon, I would not be surprised if his wife or family has a little lawsuit on their hands, in the aftermath. So these are facts that obviously we would not know just yet, just because it's still an ongoing investigation. But if there is something like foul play or a breach of some type of safety codes or regulations, I could definitely see it taking a turn in that direction. Now, he also has Jupiter in Capricorn squaring his Pluto at the 1st degree of Libra, which can also result in death, while on vacation or, that kind of thing. But once again, the smoking gun in question is absolutely going to be that Aquarius North Node alongside the Moon Uranus conjunction, and then that opposition between Uranus and Chiron in Aries. Something else that I'm noticing a lot of these individuals have in common is that those who, where their plane crashed into water, large bodies of water, or if they were missing for prolonged periods of time, they also possess a healthy dose of Piscean energy. Like JFK was a Pisces South Node. His plane crashed directly into the ocean. And see, Oliver here was a Pisces sun as well. His sun was at the 12th degree, which reinforces the theme of like victimhood, sacrifice. Y'all don't want me to get going down that rabbit hole. You don't want me going down that rabbit hole. Different video for a different day. But it could also deal with, him being at sea, being in the ocean, and, the same kind of fate befalling his children as well, because the sun also does deal with our kids. So with that being said, this concludes my video on the influence of Uranus and moreover Aquarius as it pertains to airplane crashes. Okay. So y'all drop down in the comment section. Let me know if you share any prominent Aquarian placements, adversely aspected Uranus in your chart or anything going on in your 11th house, and how has this impacted you or your experience on planes or anyone that you know. Okay. Drop down in the comment section, sound off, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Love you. Bye.